So we'll start. Okay, let's start. So I'm really pleased to welcome you for this session, Imagine a Career Change or Evolution in AI. So our moderator today is Jérémy Lamry. He has several hats. Jérémy Lamry is a French entrepreneur and researcher, co-founder of MonkeyTie, Le Lab RH, and the French hub for artificial intelligence. So he is currently also Chief of Innovation and Public Affairs at Job Teaser, a Next 40 company. But he is also author of several books. And the last one just came out, Digitaliser l'orientation professionnelle. So speaking about how can we effectively support people in building their professional lives in this changing context? How can we adapt to new uses and the speed of the market? So Jérémy, welcome.
Thank you.
I'll let you the floor and introduce the other people of the panel.
Thank you very much, Valérie. Thank you again for inviting me today. And thank you to Nathanael Ackerman for making this happen. Today, I'm thrilled to share the floor with 4 amazing speakers that have an experience in one way or another in the AI world. So I will start with Chloe. Hello, Chloe. Nice to meet you. So Chloe, who are you?
So who am I? All right, Jack, first, thanks for having me in this panel discussion. I'm the marketing manager at Lavagun Brussels, which is a coding school. So we offer trainings like short-term trainings in web development and data science as well, to help people change careers or gain tech skills that are very valuable on the job market and help them stand out from everyone else.
Thank you, Chloe. We'll take the time to present your respective companies and organizations right after. But can you tell us about where you're from? Like, what's your background? How did you get into this type of digital trainings?
Yeah, so I'm French. I moved to Brussels for this job. So it was sort of a discovery for me to discover the tech market in Belgium, but I have a very typical background in marketing, did a business school in France, and I used to work in the B2B industry before that, definitely completely different. I had nothing to do with tech, only started to learn more about it at Lavagun, and yeah, I'm learning with the students, I would say, so discovering everything they do, the use case they work on, because I have to be honest, I understood nothing about data science or AI, like the way it worked before. So it's very interesting to find out more about that, and also to just see what you can do with it.
Thank you, Chloe. Following with Liliana. Liliana, nice to have you here.
Hi, Jérémy. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here also. Well, my career, let's say, in AI started in 1999, in the very old times. So it's, you know, working with Lisp and working with things that we don't use right now. Also, even, for example, fuzzy logic and so on. Then I also work for a while on ant colony optimization, so heuristic algorithms for computer routing. And from that experience, that it's basically collective intelligence, but from the swarm, like from the intelligence of the ants, I moved to the branch of collective intelligence. Yeah, and that's a bit my background.
Thank you, Liliana. So yeah, you see, like, we have like 2 speakers and already 2 very different experiences from the world of AI. Thank you, Liliana. Following with Sidi. Hi, Sidi.
Hi, thank you, Jérémy. Thank you for the invitation and for the presentation. So I am Sidi Ahmed Mamoudi. I am Associate Professor at the Computer Science Department from the Faculty of Engineering at the University of Mons in Belgium. So my teaching activities are related to the domain of artificial intelligence and machine and deep learning on one side, and on the other side, I am also teaching some lessons about data management within big data and cloud computing. And I am also involved as a training for a certificate that we propose in UMOS, which is about AI also. And in terms of research, I am working on the domains of explainable artificial intelligence. How can we explain some results of AI? And also on the topic of edge AI, which consists on explaining how to deploy an AI model on some embedded researches. So this is the main activities of research. And when I have started working on AI, so it was at the beginning of my PhD. So I started my PhD at 2009. And at this moment, I was more focused on machine learning for computer vision and video surveillance applications. And after presenting my PhD, I worked on the use of high performance computing for accelerating some machine learning process, and also some focus on deep learning, yeah, until now.
Thank you, Sidi. That's also a deep background in AI and more generally around computers and digital. We'll come back to that, to the difference between AI and what's not AI. But for now, I'd like to introduce Stefan. Hello, Stefan.
Hello.
So, Stefan, tell us about you.
Yes, thanks a lot. Thanks for inviting me, and thanks for this amazing European AI Week. I'm managing 19. 19 is a subsidiary of the 42, famous 42 school from Paris. We are the first campus outside France. To date, a network of 42 campuses and 15,000 students learning code. And after 1 year of—
Excuse me, Stefan. So
yes.
We'll come back to your organization after.
Yes, indeed.
Tell us about you.
In fact, what I did, you're right. I've launched this project years ago because I wanted to have a positive impact in society. And at this time in 2018, many companies were using digital to kill jobs. And we had the vision that we could create jobs and sustainable jobs in Belgium in IT. And so that's why, and in tech, and that's why we created and we launched 19 here. And my background is mainly a management and a marketing background, which I use to promote and to launch this school in society here in Belgium as well. And I'm part of the Digital Minds, also helping the Belgian government in their objective of smart nation.
So you actually launched this training yourself?
We launched in Belgium, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
It's based. It's the model of like Lavagun existing elsewhere also. It's the model of 42 that we have implemented in Belgium with something unique. It's the fact that we are supported and financed by a consortium of local companies who can provide internship and jobs for our students.
Moving on, we can maybe let you introduce your respective trainings and organizations, because you are all involved in specific initiatives in terms of AI teaching or researching. So Stefan, let's go with you, because you started already.
Yes, in fact. So because the subject is mainly also can you do a career move and how can you change? I think one of the elements we can bring on the table is the fact that we have no age limits. We start us from the age of 18. We see now a big increase of people about 35 years old in following this training, even if the oldest person is 39. We are also open 24/7. It means that people can access when they want. So it's completely suitable for a career move because you can come, in fact, when it's suitable for you, as it's problem-based learning. So it means that you have to solve problems like in a game. It's based on gamification as well. And you leave the training when you found a job. As far as AI is concerned, it is not part of the common core. The common core lasts, I would say, 1 year. So there is indeed one timing constraint, is that before going into the AI part, that you can choose. You need to have this background of training that lasts 1 year.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you. And why is that?
Because you need some basic understanding of the basics of code and of mathematics in order to do it. That's why the projects are already more advanced in the courses that we propose.
Okay. How long is the training again in total?
I guess in fact it depends of your. It's a very good question, as there are no timetable and no classes. If we count that people would work, I would say 40 hours a week, and if you want to do the full courses, is about 3 years.
Okay, so about 3 years. So yeah, it's a long program,
yes.
In depth, and with the same methodology as 42, the school launched by Xavier Niel.
Yes, indeed. It's everywhere in the world. So we have 5 campuses in France now, 42 in the world, and everywhere everybody is connected on the same platform, and you can share also your experience. You can ask for help anywhere in the world with all the people in this community.
And one last question, because people might be curious, why 19?
Why 19? Because in fact, when Xavier created 42, he said he wanted to keep the brand for the campuses he was developing. So he said you need to develop your own local brand. That's why the first campuses in the world outside France have different names. You have 21 in Moscow, you have 1337 in Morocco, you have Kodam in Amsterdam, and we've chosen a figure as well, like Morocco, like Moscow after us. And we choose 19 for one reason, or for 2 reasons, in fact. One is that you have the figure 1 and the figure 9, the first and the last figure. It means inclusion. It means that everybody is welcome there. And it is also linked to one of the story of our founders, who was a business club called B19. So that's why we chose that.
Okay. Thank you, Stefan.
Thanks for asking.
Chloe, can you tell us about Lavagun?
Yeah.
Or Le Wagon, I don't know how you say it.
It's a French company, so you say Lavagun, but here I learned that you're supposed to say Le Wagon. So
Le Wagon.
Yes. So we have a different approach from 19. So it's short trainings. We have one in 9 weeks, and the other one is in 24 weeks, where you learn data science outside of business hours. So it's more like evening classes. And we mostly have people wanting to change their career, so like a reorientation, or also like young graduates, I would say, who may have coded a little bit during their university time, and they want to like further their skills and go into a field that is a very like attractive one, I would say, and one with a lot of demand. There's a lot of jobs in data science or in AI currently, so it's definitely something they also think about. And the way we do the trainings, like, so we have teachers all day long. It's a very like, in a supportive environment, it's a hands-on learning experience, meaning you will have lectures during the morning, but all we do like all day long is mostly work on challenges and projects. We know that in 9 weeks, you won't be, senior machine learning engineer for sure, but you will have worked on many different projects, learn the tricks of like how everything goes, and you'll be able to enter like a data science team without any issues and keep on learning afterwards. And we also put a lot of emphasis on career. Like for example, right now we have students that have just finished the bootcamp and they are going through a career week. So it's definitely about giving them all the tips and tools for them to search for a job and also meet companies. We have a lot of partners looking for tech profiles and just get a head start and find the future job. So that's the way the training works. And As 19, we are also pretty much all over the world. So it's a huge community. You can always come back, ask any question. It's one big family, and it's always nice, even just to share job opportunities or anything related to that. It's definitely a big help for all the students.
Thank you, Chloe, for this very marketed presentation. How many campuses do you have all over the world?
I think we are reaching 45.
45 campuses?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And when you talk about like the 9-week training or the 6 months training, are they like specifically about AI, or do they include other topics?
So it's a data science training. So AI is a part of it. So they usually go over different topics such as data analysis, deep learning, machine learning, data engineering. So it's like the whole range of data science. And most of the time they truly enjoy the more like machine learning part and AI part. So they tend to go into this field after graduating.
Thank you. Thank you, Chloe. Sidi, let's talk about your training at the University of Mons.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. So in the University of Mons, we have some classical training. So we have some students that can choose the specialty of AI and computer science since the 3rd year, and they will continue doing that till the end of the master. So this is a classical formation. But on the other side, we propose an AI certificate at UMOS, which is a specific certificate that is called Hands-on AI that we have proposed 4 years ago, and which is represented by a mixed public of participants. So we have with different ages. So we have master student, we have postdoc, PhD student, and we have also graduate engineers. So the idea is that we have to propose this certificate for students that are at the end of their study, even if they are not in computer science domain, but they have some interest on AI, or also for some PhD students that are working on mechanical concept, for example, and they want to know how to apply AI for their applications. So this is our idea of proposing this certificate. So we have a formation which is combined between theoretical aspects and also practical aspects within three main axes. So the first thing that we propose is that we call challenges. So we have 3 or 4 challenges which are more focused on machine and deep learning problematics, where students will have some lessons and will have some labs to do. This is the first thing. And the second one is seminars. So we invite some speakers and keynote speakers that will propose and will tell us about the use of AI in different domains. For example, AI for health, AI for industry, or in the ethics domain. So this is the idea to give some global idea of the use of AI. It is less technical concepts. And the third activity that we propose is a workshop. So the idea is that based on the knowledge that students have collected during the 2 first activities, they will work for an hackathon during a weekend by groups, and they will try to provide a solutions which is called end-to-end solutions by using or developing an AI model and deploying the solutions for a use case. So these are the 3 main activities. And here I talked mainly about this certificate because we have a challenge that we have to propose a formation that is adapted for different kind of profiles, you see. So this is the idea of that, why we have proposed 3 activities.
Thank you, Sidi. Yeah. Thank you, Sidi. So you see that we have 3 different types of training. We have Lavagun, that is a very short training. We have then 19, that is type of a new school with a lot of gamification in the pedagogy. And then we have the academic courses that you propose, Sidi, yeah, in a formal university.
Yeah.
So for people who want to actually get into AI, there are lots of possibilities today. Liliana, we haven't heard about you, about your initiative. I'd like to hear about it. Is it a school?
Well, we have several initiatives. I mean, Collective App is, it's mostly a research organization with a branch on technology and another branch on more sustainability and education in general, supporting the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. And one of those is education, so quality education, and some others are around climate and so on, right? So, but let's say that the focus is creating technology and methods, and the other part, a very strong content in education. And in that branch, so we have, for the European Commission, supported several programs. So basically we are involved in 4 European projects, and also supporting the European Commission in their program of the digital skills and job coalition. And for that, specifically, we have been creating content. So Collective App has been like an expert content on the expert on the content side. So basically creating materials and knowledge that is spread around Europe. You can go, for example, to the website of Digital Skills App platform, and also to the platform of the Digital Academy of the European Commission. And there you can find a lot of information. For example, one of the initiatives is the artificial intelligence, like basics, but let's say, for whole Europe. Really going into introducing AI to students, young people, people in pension, and so on. And that is the course on emerging technologies. And the other one is the elements of AI. That is what you can see already online, and it's open, it's free. So basically what I'm mostly contributing at the moment is on open knowledge, knowledge that is open for everyone and with no charge. And that's supported by the European Commission. And on the other hand, I have one specific project in which I don't collaborate with externals or with the Commission, but it's a project that I am running together with others. And that is for creating materials to teach, actually teachers at the schools about artificial intelligence. And there we basically support the teachers to create the courses, like even ethics, diversity, citizenship, mathematics, statistics, and so on. So basically lessons for them in which they are already achieving the educational goals of the schools. For example, diversity. There is one educational goal at the international level about diversity. Then we actually include in that lesson some aspects of AI. And diversity, for example, that is one of the ones we have here, also because of the women. So
thank you, Liliana. So what you're saying is that we have the schools, but we also have the not a school where people can access free content, expert content to actually ensure like self-learning, self-teaching even. So you see, you have lots of possibilities today. No excuse if you want to get into the world of AI. But maybe we should have started with this. But what is AI? Who wants to take this? Because actually AI is a very trendy world. And I believe there is a lot of misconceptions sometimes at best, and sometimes a lot of bullshit behind what we call AI. So what do we call AI? Maybe Liliana or CD?
That depends a little bit on what direction we would take, CD. I mean, like, for example, it can be AI can be pure mathematics and statistics, right? So if we go into that branch, we can say AI is statistics and mathematics and building algorithms, right? On the other hand, we can say that AI, for example, can be the user perspective of it, like all the applications that we can build on those mathematics. We can also have, and talking specifically, for example, about jobs and the possibility of diverse jobs in AI, there is also the user experience, right, of it. So, but AI for me is mathematics, statistics, and creating systems that learn if I can summarize it, but I don't know, Siri,
that's
your opinion.
interesting. Yeah, the last bit, I believe, can be very decisive in what AI is. You said systems that learn. Sidi, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. Of course, with Liliana, it's based on mathematical to decide for AI, but I can give a more general definition of AI in which, because AI can be based on several activities. For example, AI for us is to define or a system that is smart, but he will imitate the intelligence from humans. So the idea of AI is to develop some machines that are smart, but imitate their intelligence from humans. How to do that? So there is two main approaches. The first one is a mathematical approach also, which is based on rules. For example, to decide what kind of, for example, if I have a photos with an animal, if I want to decide that this is an animal, I have to check if there is some 4 paws. For example, if I have 4 paws, so it's an animal. So this is based on rules. So there is no learning for this. So this is the first approach. This is what is called with symbolic programming. Yeah. But the other idea is based on learning, such as Liliana said. So we have, for example, if you want to define more specific approach, because to know that it's an animal, it's a little bit easier, yeah? But if you want to know the race of the animal, we have to analyze all the pixels of the image, and it will be very complicated. So in this case, we have to learn from data that have been previously annotated by humans, which will provide us some labels for each image. And with that, we'll develop some models using some mathematical concepts in order to learn from this data and propose a model with several parameters that can be applied for detecting something. I think that AI is based on two main parts. So the symbolic programming part, which is based on rules. So this is the first thing that was proposed for AI. And thereafter, there is the machine learning, which can be used for solving problems.
So if we summarize, AI is about mathematics, is about programming, and a part of it is also in engineering, of course. So
what
basically,
I like in what you say, I think is very interesting, because in fact, you mentioned the different perspective, if I may, is that, or you can indeed have also training where people will be, as you mentioned, in the art coding and in the mathematics, and who will build those solutions. But then you have also with the Web 3.0, a democratization of deep tech today. And you have a couple with the globalization and a couple of big players that we all know who are providing the software. Then you have the people who are able to use those software. And these are different, of course, dimension. I would also recommend the people to read the book of Mieke de Ketelaar about AI. It's extremely well explained, and you see those different levels as we discussed.
Thank you, Stefan. That's very interesting. So we are going to play a little game, and I'm going to give you some names of jobs, and you're going to tell me AI or not AI. So let's start.
What do you mean by AI or not AI? Using AI or being impacted by AI for their future job?
Oh no, not being impacted. Like, do they use? Is that a job that we can consider in the world of AI?
Okay.
So, for example, if we say data analyst.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you would say yes?
I would say yes, it's part of it.
Oh, you're the professional.
Yes, it is part of it.
Okay, software programmer.
It is also part of it.
All of them?
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Yeah,
obviously not all of them. I wouldn't say that a standard mobile app developer is AI.
Yes.
but maybe I'm wrong. Come on, play the game. We need the people here to be able to understand if they want to go to AI, what it means. And
when there is a permanent learning, and when you add layer of understanding of behavior or patterns or new data are coming in to improve and enrich the experience, then you have it. But when you are, as you mentioned, using something for a specific purpose and it is not evolving, you don't have AI.
That's why I was surprised with data analyst, because I think it's debatable. But if you say yes, then
it's because I think myself at least I reacted as a yes, because AI is based on data sets and on usage of lots of data. That's maybe why I say that.
I think also it's useful for AI. It's useful.
Yes.
It's
a component.
I mean, basically, AI doesn't really exist without data. I mean, so if we don't have that part of the data, we have just algorithms. I mean, we have that in.
I understand, but in that way, a lot of things that building computers is AI. So the point is that, no, but that's interesting, you see, because now from what we say, we see that we have the jobs that are proper to AI and other jobs that enable AI.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, but then that would be the right question also for us. Like, are we talking about, you know, the creating algorithms and what are the jobs needed for that, or the skills, or like users of AI, you know, like, or more the enabling AI. So that could also be a way for us to potentially answer it.
Yeah, because actually the people that are attending this this conference, I believe, are not experts of AI, and we need to make it like so simple that they understand what it is and what it isn't, but also the jobs that help to do it. They can be jobs where people can go as well, because they are really promising in terms of job types.
Well, Jeremy, just to make one comment regarding the European Commission perspective, we need, for example, ethics, right? And ethics on AI, and it's a branch that is very needed, but it's not necessarily about programming, you know, so you can actually have a job in AI even without being a programmer. So one thing is what kind of jobs we can have, all of us, and another one is who is going to make the algorithms, and I think those are different kind of jobs. So in AI, there is a lot of variation, I think.
Okay, you know, maybe for all of you, this is obvious, but when people are not from this world, you need to state it. Because how are they supposed to know, you know? So that's the point of what we're doing here. We want people to understand the boundaries, the limits, and to make it really accessible to everyone. So moving on, Chloe, what makes people move to AI?
I guess, I mean, AI is something everybody talks about. Like, you can see all the new startups working on that, like unique companies, everyone is going towards AI. And so it's very popular. And I think there's a lot of job opportunities, definitely. It's something that is growing. So a lot of things are happening. And it's, you know, it's, for people, even if they have a past experience before that is not in tech or anything like that, it's still a good field for them to go in, because AI is for any industries. So if you have experiences working for, I don't know, a car manufacturer, great, you can work on self-driving cars and, you know, have a different take on it. So it's super interesting for people, and definitely a lot of opportunities just coming in. And tech-wise, but also around it, because as Liliana said, there's like a lot of stakeholders, and the teams are not just tech people, but also, you know, ethic in AIs, or more the business side of it. So you can work on AI and do like have any sort of job. So it's an open field right now.
We have a question from Emilia that asks us to mention a few job titles related to where you can go after such trainings. So for example, Chloe.
Yeah, so if you want to work more on the data, like the base and on data, you will have data analyst, data scientist. You can go on as a machine learning engineer as well. Software engineer like Python, developers, all these sort of jobs, they are working on creating the algorithm and developing programs. So yeah, it's depending on what you like best, either working on data, either working on algorithm, either coding all day long. A lot of things are available.
And the question of Emilia is, are all these jobs accessible to young graduates, to juniors, the junior positions, let's say?
Yeah, so depending, I would say the industry is slowly changing. A lot of companies still require like a master, like specific data science or AI master, but it's starting to change. And like training such as 19 or Lavagun or Bcode are taken into account right now. The most important thing is to show that you have learned the basics of it, you are able to work on projects. You can also work on projects on your own afterwards and keep on learning. And yeah, it's definitely possible. We see it every day with graduates just entering the data science field. If they didn't, like, they don't have a proper STEM background, I would say, before that.
What you say is very interesting, because in fact, you mentioned that they need to get the basic right and then continue learning. And that's true. That's you have different steps in the history of machine learning and artificial intelligence. Now it's again a hype, but we hear a lot also about metaverse and blockchain every year. There is a kind of buzzword. It's important to keep evolving and to keep learning all the time. And I think with training represented here are in this mindset of permanent learning and developing yourself and in the work. And what we do see with employer, they are looking more for profile of people, profile of mindset, even if they don't have all the experience at the beginning.
Yes.
So Stefan,
yeah.
You're saying that for recruiters, diploma doesn't matter that much in this field?
Less than before, but it is changing, and this is in fact thanks to we see more and more the system of badge of certification, or even now blockchain certification along all your life. There is a variety, and I think you mentioned that when opening it, there are a variety of solutions, academic solution, alternative solution, short-term, long-term. And I think that's what is good today, that in function of your profile, your needs, you can choose. And what we do see, indeed, and we are playing a modest role in that in Belgium, is that now big companies will hire more on profile, on trainings, but not specifically on a formal diploma. Yes.
CD, you see that as well?
Sorry, I was muted, but I agree, of course, with Stefan. It's the same opinion in our case, yeah.
Okay, let's take a moment for Heidi. Thank you, Liliana, for answering to Heidi. But Heidi is trying to move to AI business development. What should she do? How can we help her?
Well, I would say to get mixed profiles, first of all, not only technical profiles, but for example, involved in that program also people from the business side, and specifically business and technical. I mean, like I'm in this moment actually lucky to answer to her because I study AI and I have an MBA. And that branch for business development, you can, for example, look into trying to build careers into the business analyst profile, which is an intermediate one between being a bit technical and being also on the side of business models or budgeting and so on, business development.
So you think it's important that Heidi tries to get both skills from an academic point of view first? Okay. I hope, Heidi, this answers your question. Thank you very much, Liliana. So next, we were saying, what are the types of persona that go into AI? Are there like typical profiles?
I think nowadays it's very diverse. I guess at one point it was more like engineers and statisticians, mathematicians, like this type of profiles. But now we see pretty much everyone going into AI. We have also like the more like psychological like aspect of it taking over. We see, pretty much everyone wants to go into AI, more business profiles, more technical ones. So it's becoming like more and more diverse than it used to be.
I still see a huge gender gap, I must say, mainly in Western Europe, when it's still very male oriented. I don't know if it's the case. It's less the case in Central Europe and in former communist country where science was more widespread. But that's a real challenge as well, is the gender gap in this field.
Yeah, that is real. Yeah.
Liliana, at your senior and expert position, do you see this gender gap has been there for a long time, I guess?
For a long time, yes, Stefan, you mentioned the point. I mean, often I have to say, and probably also for Chloe, it's like that. Often the only one in the room. And especially when it was the programming side of it. I mean, I'm pretty sure I was the only one, and then a bunch of like 20, 30 guys, you know, and that made it very difficult. I mean, on one hand, we speak also a bit different, you know, so we are not even heard in the same way as other colleagues. So it made it actually very difficult. I have basically made the positive side of it. Why? Because being the only one in the room, and if you are good, you can also make a difference, you know? So then I have played that in a different role, and I have made it actually an advantage for myself. But it is pretty tough. And it is still pretty tough, especially in the programming branch of it and in the mathematical side of it. If we go a bit more to marketing and to business, the business side, it starts to be more balanced, I think.
Would you say that this gender gap is getting corrected, balanced? The market wants to do something about it?
The market needs to do something about it. It's not just that it's I mean, especially if we talk about data, Jeremy, one of the things that we see is bias, right? There is a big, and that is why, okay, it's not really the algorithmic part of it, right? It's more what we are feeding these systems with, right? And if we talk about that, the data, basically, we have all we have our glasses. I was trying to speak Dutch, and I don't speak it very well. But you know, we have our glasses that are very, very biased oriented, right? I would prefer, for example, I grew up in South America. Then for me, I know that it's not necessarily a white person or a white male person that will be programming an algorithm, right? But if we are in Europe and we are going to tag all the data as this is a programmer, right, of a programmer of AI algorithms, it's mostly male and a certain profile, right? Now, if we feed this data to an algorithm that is creating recruitment automatically, what we will get is actually a recommendation of, based on that intelligence that we already have, right? Based on what we are feeding that system with. So if by default, we already have that data that is male-oriented, matched to technical profiles, then the result of that recruitment algorithm will be just the same, because that is the entrance point of the system and the output will be something similar. And the same happens, for example, I'm working in gender balance, and this means not only gender balance in general, but if we go to education, we have the opposite. Most teachers actually are female, right? So for men who would like to be a teacher, they are actually fitting that system, they would have a disadvantage. So yeah, it's, but we need diversity, and it's not only in tech, and tech is very visible, but we need in general diverse society and diverse data.
Chloe, Stefan, would you say the market is asking for more women, for more diversity in general in these positions, or they just want talent?
No, I think more and more, like with the, as Liana said, with the issue of biases, there's more and more awareness on the fact that you need diverse teams to work on AI. If not, you will have these sort of issues with your programs. So I would say now that the awareness is growing around these sort of topics, more and more companies are looking also to bring more women into tech. And there's a lot of initiatives going around currently happening at any levels. But the thing is, it's still, I would say, the first steps, and it's very slow. Like we see that very few women actually go into that field at the moment. It will come, but yeah, it will require a little bit of time.
Yeah, we have so with the HR lab that founded in France since 2015, we have this data about how many women we have in the field of tech in general. So it's about 8%. So it's really poor. Wait, Stefan, wait just a minute.
Yes.
So what we see is that companies are actually doing a lot to try to get women into tech positions, but more like software programming. It's not the case for example, data science. It's just one people because they struggle so much to hire people. So this effort they do for software programming, they are not eager to do it that strongly for data science, where they actually code the algorithms. So I completely join what Liliana was saying, is that we have this big issue about representation in Western Europe, and I think we have it particularly in France. Stefan, please.
Yeah, I wanted to add two things. As far as Belgium is concerned, we do see that we are far below the European average in the DAISY study about the percentage of people going to STEM study. So it's not only a gender issue, it's an overall issue on tech. And then as far as AI is more concerned in the balance, what we do see also is that men tend to follow the money. Let me explain that. When hardware was smart coding was for women, and then when software and microcomputers and PCs started to grow in Western Europe, then men were with Bill Gates, with Microsoft, and so on. Yeah, then men were following the money, and it was not women anymore. So that's typical opportunism of Western capitalism, of the dominant alpha male, indeed.
And yeah, what you say is really important, because we see that in France, we have a lot of, in Western Europe in general, people, young people love business schools. And all the fancy jobs that go with them. But we see that more and more, like over the past years, more and more people from business schools go to tech jobs. Like data analyst is a great entry door for people from business schools that in high school were doing like scientific academic courses, curriculum, and then went to business school. So I think there is a way to get these people back on track in STEMs right after. So, but maybe there's a need to do more in business schools to attract these people to data path, let's say.
Yeah, and so it's also changing by like the fact is business school are also now putting coding classes in the curriculum, or data science classes, and sort of taking over the STEM field and like adding it and doing that mix business and data science. So I think everything is going to change, like the whole environment of, it won't be like the typical STEM education anymore, but it's going to be like a mixed everything. And yeah, we will have a lot more graduates from business school going into data for sure.
Liliana, if tomorrow you were to recruit someone for, let's say, a position as a data scientist, what would be the most important for you in terms of criteria?
I would actually choose for a non-that technical profile, but someone who is very good in statistics, and I have a preference already. I actually love the profiles of psychologists. They are very well trained on data because they do, you know, all the clinical testing and so on. So I wouldn't choose immediately for a programmer. I would choose more for the kind of data profile, right? But that, because at the moment I am not developing myself, right? Okay. So it depends also on the profile of the organization. That is what they would be needing, yeah.
So when you say you like psychologists, do you like the awareness about the data?
They know a lot about the statistics. So basically with some programming training, actually they have already a very good statistics profile. And it's not a very straightforward profile, you know, I mean, people would be thinking about other profiles. And in that, in the Digital Skill Labs program that I shared here, actually we were analyzing for the European Commission different types of profile that can actually come also to AI. So,
tell us more. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, it will be published soon. We have been creating learning pathways for SMEs to actually support their organizations to train and reskill and upskill their personnel in a way that it's not necessarily the programmer, but actually the different branches of the different types of careers that you can have in AI. And for example, one of those is psychology. I mean, psychologists, if they know it, they can actually do the branch to build some skills, upskilling, reskilling to get to AI. Also, for example, people who know how to program, then also getting into more the statistical part, or, you know, can also make the branch back. So depending, there are different ways of doing it, yeah.
Sidi, from University of Mons, I guess you have some ideas about what types of profile you want to get out on the market.
Yes, in the market, in our case, we have some research project when we have, for example, we have some several use case on which we want to work. But actually what we try to do is to define with more precision what we want to do in our lab, for example, because AI is very large and machine learning is also very, very large. And so we want to get a precise idea about what type of data we will try to be managing, because we can have images, we can have text, we can have values, we can have temporal series. So the idea is to be sure in our case, for example, if we are looking for some profile, we have to be sure about what kind of data we'll be managing within this project, and try to see if the profile that we want have some idea about, first thing about understanding data. So there is a need for statistics and somehow to visualize data. This is important. And the other thing is to have some main idea or some basics about the type of the learning that we can apply depending of the data. Because if you will make some machine learning algorithm or models, if we apply a model which is not adapted to the data, we'll have bad results. So this is the first important thing. And we have also some problem about the analysis of data, because if you have some data which are not good, we'll try to define the best model in the world will not have good results. So, for example, there is, for example, some bias in data. So, and if we don't try, if we are not able to find this bias of data, we cannot propose a good model. So we'll try in our research of profiles, we try to have some persons that can have some idea about a good analysis of data and an idea of the good selection of the adapted model according to the data that we have to use. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're reaching the end pretty soon. I have a question for you three, CD, Stefan, and Chloe. Can you tell us about like the employment rate out of your trainings related to AI?
In fact, we made a yearly survey and about what they would like, where they would like to work afterwards. The number one is cybersecurity, the number two is AI. But we don't have specific data. We have only the data at the beginning of their career, and usually they don't start with immediately AI position. So I would be tough.
What would you say they start? Where would you say they start mostly?
They tend to. They would like. We have a specific profile here as well. You were talking about persona. They will start in bug fixing. They will start in big companies as a software developer or analyst, and then evolve. And we are only 4 years old in Belgium. So at this stage, it's a bit difficult to have the data. What we do see is that 100% of the people who finish the training, the Common Core, they find a job in tech. So that's a good element. So they are jobs. You have heard probably about the Be the Change study of Agoria. We do see that there are 13,000 jobs open, and it was even very resilient during the COVID time. So it's a good, generally speaking, going to tech is a good way to find a job, and a job that you can do everywhere in the world as well. So that's
but I get something really interesting from what you say, Stefan, is that sometimes jobs around AI can't be a first job. It can happen. And so jobs like software programming, bug fixing, they can be good entry doors for the world of AI. Do you all confirm that? And also psychology, we get from Liliana. Chloe, what about the employment rate? Is it the same as Stefan?
So because our training is like data science and not AI, like especially we have, they mostly go as data scientist, data analyst, or data consultant as well. So I would say, yeah, it's sort of similar, as don't go like directly into AI necessarily, but the program has been running for a bit over a year, so it's still a very like new one, and we have like over 95% of our students find a job in a data-related field within 6 months.
Okay, so what I get also, correct me if I'm wrong, but the market is so tense that a lot of jobs in AI, like machine learning engineer or whatever, a lot of these jobs are learned in the job. Like you don't get like straight into, you get into the company, work with people that do this job and learn from them, and then you actually do it. Is this how it happens a lot today?
I guess it also depends on the profile of the person and on what they are looking for. Some would rather start as Python developer or this sort of thing, because after just 9 weeks, they don't necessarily feel confident enough to go into like directly machine learning, and they just want to keep discovering new things and then slowly move to this sort of job. Some will just go for it, and we do have like machine learning, junior, AI, people working on AI. Like it definitely depends on the profile of everyone.
From my experience in the companies where I hire people for actually like machine learning engineers, but also data engineers as well, where we need actually this type of skills. We hire only senior positions, but that's because we have a very complex stack. And the complexity of the stack plays a big role because depending on the companies, 2 data scientists won't have the same job at all because they will have to manage a lot of tech layers that require some experience to gather them all.
Yeah, that's true. It is true that in data science, also people, like there's fewer junior position, I would say in a way, but you can definitely start as a data engineer or as a data scientist, even after a shorter training for sure. We also have people, you know, coming with already some past experience, which makes it easier for them as well. So once again, depends on the profile.
Okay, before, so we are done. Just before we quit, one quick advice to people who would like to go to the AI world. Any type of advice, Liliana?
Don't be afraid, just start.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good advice. Sidi?
Yeah, for me also, I can say don't be afraid and you can trust AI because actually we are working on explaining AI. So there is a lot of solution actually that try to explain why AI take some decisions. So because before we were talking that AI is some black boxes, actually is less, there is some solution to try to solve this problem of black box AI models. Yeah.
Okay. Stefan?
I would say try, and we have a method that we have try, and don't give up too fast.
Because it's hard.
Yes.
And Chloe?
Yeah, try, give it a go. You can do many things in AI, and yeah, like everything is changing. It's a welcoming environment, so just give it a try.
Thank you, Chloe. And I will finish to say that please don't go into AI if you don't want to do good things, if you don't want to be aware of what you're doing, because then you'll be doing shit at scale. Thank you very much, Valerie. I give you the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jérémy. Thank you all. It was very interesting. Just 2 words about the next session. The next session, it's in 30 minutes with Nathanaël Ackermann and François Tadei, an inspirational keynote about AI and health. And tomorrow, the future of work. So with the presentation of the study Be the Change also from Argoria, and the discussion panel too. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.